welcome back to another Osprey project video. I'm Liv from the Birds of Poole Harbour Osprey team, and today we've got a video all about Osprey identification, as well as catch up as to what CJ7's been getting up to in the past week. You might have noticed that I've got a colleague here with me today in the form of LS7, unfortunately not the real thing, but he's here to help us learn a bit about the differences between male and female Ospreys and between adults and juveniles. But first let's catch up with what CJ7's been getting up to this week. So as we've been watching, CJ7 continued with her usual business of building and defending the nest over the past couple of weeks, continuing to form a bond with the area and waiting for the arrival of LS7. But on the Thursday the 30th, we woke up to a surprise when we saw that she had laid an egg on the nest during the night at around 3:30 to 3:35 am. We knew that this egg must be unfertilised as the timing of laying did not correlate with visitors to the harbour, and we did not see her make any mating attempts with them either. Ospreys will usually copulate several times before fertilisation, which was very unlikely within the length of time that any males have stayed in the harbour. This laying was therefore caused by a surge in her hormones from her readiness to breed. On Sunday evening, we saw her lay another egg, which wasn't unexpected as Ospreys usually lay a clutch of 3. As unfertilised laying in Ospreys has very little documentation, having this recorded provides more insight into their biology. Even after laying just the first egg, CJ7 was not dedicated to incubating them, which is what we'd expect to see if they were fertilised. She is prioritising instead her own health over incubation, which is a good sign that she knows they're unfertilised, as protecting the eggs and raising chicks needs both parents. So, on to LS7, or the model of LS7 I should say. We're going to use this chap to learn a few of the differences between male and female and adults and juveniles. He is not perfect, he's not the shape or size of an Osprey really, but it's really useful for learning differences in plumage and different things like that. You've also got to know that he's a juvenile, so we'll be focusing on those features on him, and I'll use a few pictures that we've got from the project to help us learn about the other features as well. So differences between adult and juvenile Ospreys. So the main one you're looking for really in younger birds is the pale fringing to the feathers. So you can see from our pictures of the Ospreys in the pens, they've got this beautiful pale fringing, it's almost golden in some lights, and that keeps them nice and camouflaged when they're in the nest. They kind of blend in with the twigs and the other foliage. We've just got a pigeon that's come and join us in the background, but we've got when they're on the nest, they're really nice and camouflaged, so that's what you want. They lose this within the first year or so. You might have seen pictures of 019 in the Gambia this winter, and you can see that she's lost that pale fringing already, despite only having been released from the project in 2019. What you can also see on this chappie is the differences in eye colour. So juvenile Ospreys usually have a more orange eye, whereas adults have a striking yellow eye. It's very subtle, probably not going to be able to see it from your house, but if you're looking at a picture, it's just something you might notice. Also pretty distinctive in Ospreys is their underwing pattern. So obviously I can't lift up this chap's wings to show you the underwings, but if we have a look at some pictures, the underwings can be used to identify juveniles and distinguish between males and females, and even individuals. Looking at a juvenile underwing, they have a very pale, sometimes yellowish upper part, and the rest of the underwing is heavily barred. Then looking at adults, this is a picture of the underwing of LS7. Male underwings are distinctly less patterned and lighter than females, and even if you compare him to CJ7, who is quite pale for a female, you can see that she has this additional speckling and darkness that he lacks. Each individual will have a different patternation, and as I said, CJ7 is paler, but others have more dark spots on the feathers. So if you've only got shots of their underwings, which we can sometimes get of CJ7 on the nest, or if they're flying overhead, is really useful for trying to work out who that bird is. So another important feature for identifying between males and females is the breast band. So it's not very obvious on this bird, and it's very variable in juveniles, but between males and females, generally females have darker breast bands, and this necklace can come right up to their chin almost, not that Ospreys have chins, come right up their neck, and they extend quite far down, and generally darker ones means that the bird is a female. As CJ7's quite pale, we can see that she's got quite a light pattern on her chest, but LS7 actually has quite a dark chest for a male, so defining between these two just by their chest markings is quite difficult. So one really important feature between male and female Ospreys is the difference in shape and size. So females are considerably larger than the males, usually up to 30%. And this is a really important way of telling the difference because you can start to identify this from a younger age. So we use this for helping us during the Osprey project. Obviously we try to select more for males because they're more likely to return back to Poole Harbour than females, though we do want females as well. But we can use the size at a young age to judge whether they're female or male to give us an indication as what proportion we might have. So if you're watching one going overhead, what you're looking for is the differences in broadness and the shape of the body. So females are generally broader. You'll see these really nice deep wings, but they've also got a bit of a pot belly situation going on normally, and also a longer tail. Whereas males, they've got this slender, sleek body with more athletic shape to them. If you couple this with the differences in necklace coloration as well as the underwings, then you've got a good idea as to whether they're males or females. But it is difficult to see, especially from a distance, and unless you've got a really good pair of optics, you might struggle to identify them when they're just flying by. So another feature we use for identifying individual ospreys from each other is the head markings, which is what we use in the Osprey project a lot when we're monitoring the birds in the pens. So they'll have different markings on their heads. This isn't exactly what LS7 looks like, but they'll have these different streakings, different patterns. Some are more pale, some are more dark. As I mentioned earlier, LS7's quite a dark bird, so he's also got this strong patination on his head compared to CJ7, who's fairly light on her head. For identifying individuals, there's one obvious thing I haven't talked about yet, and that's leg rings. So Brittany mentioned this in her last video, but I'll talk a bit more about it now. You can see here that this bird is ringed LS7. Usually the ring would go up the leg, and there's not quite space enough for it to happen on this model. But you can see LS7 here was ringed on the right leg with the Darvik ring, so that's that plastic coloured ring on the leg. So this Darvik ring is put on usually on the right leg in Wales and England, and in the left leg in Scotland, generally speaking. They'll also have another ring on their other leg, which is a metal BTO ring, which are used for similar purposes and applied at the same time. So this ring is really useful. They all have an individual code which helps us learn about where that bird came from, and when it was ringed, how old it was, what sex it is. So it's really helpful for knowing that, and you can get a general scope of information by seeing which leg it's ringed on. So obviously if you see it's going over and you can see it's on the right or left leg, you've got a general idea as to whether it's from Scotland or England and Wales. So they'll be ringed at about 5 to 6 weeks of age when they're resilient, but they're not old enough to be spooked off the nest too soon. So ospreys tend to generally fledge between 7 and 8 weeks of age, normally closer to 8 weeks of age, and that's after lots of preparation and practicing and building up their muscles and their wings. You don't want to try and spook them off the nest too soon because they might fledge and make a failed fledging attempt. So it's really important that you do it a bit sooner, a bit earlier on to stop this from happening. So why do we try to identify ospreys? It's really important for us when we're monitoring such a crucial population. Obviously they're coming back to England and back to the UK in general, so we want to try and learn which individuals are coming, which means that we get quite attached to them. You know, we've got a lot of people behind CJ7 at the moment willing for LS7 to return. This is important. It's important to protect these birds and have people know them, which helps us monitor them ourselves because we get people taking pictures of them, going over their houses. We get people talking about them, saying, who do you think this bird is? Really useful so that we can try and work out how the population is doing. Plus we might get birds turn up in different areas of the world. We might see LS7 down in Senegal, and we'll get people telling us, oh, LS7's here, we know he's alive, we know that he might come back soon. So that's what we really want. So thanks for watching everyone. I hope you've enjoyed the video and learned a bit about ospreys as well. To keep up to date with the project, you can either go on weekdays to our diary on our website, or also to our live Q&As on our YouTube chat, which is every weekday at 10 till 11, where you can ask questions about the project or anything osprey related at all really. So we'd love to see you there and see you getting involved with the project. So we hope to see you soon.